Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director, and I will tell you, we have such a great podcast for you today. Let me just tell you, you need to lean into this because we're going to have some major announcements today, but also I want to introduce my guests to you. First, I have two wonderful guests today. Allan Peretz, the founder of Bold Strategies. Welcome, Allan.
Thank you, and thanks for having us today.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And we've been in fact, Allan, you and I have been looking forward to this since like September sometime. So this is great.
And you were kind enough, by the way, to wait until our big announcement. So
yes,
we appreciate that.
Oh, and there you hear it from the founder. How it's coming. The announcement is definitely coming for sure. Darcy Ramler, welcome.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having us. We're super excited.
Oh, well, it's good to have you, and you have a critical role in the company, and I can't wait to dive into that. And you're from a wonderful state, California, so welcome to Arkansas.
Thank you. Got a little snow this morning.
I know, we did, yeah. And over to my right is Amanda Ashley. She's the Director of Marketing, and so we'll just wave over there and say, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Yeah, but Amanda, I also want to tell you how much I appreciate our communication and our work together because you really pulled all this together. So thank you, Amanda, for your hard work. I appreciate that.
She's actually Allan's and our boss.
Well,
she keeps us in line.
Normally, we need someone like that.
Exactly.
The guy that does that just went upstairs to watch this podcast and make sure I do everything correctly. So we all need people like that around us.
Funny story about Amanda. So I told you on the way in that she was our first employee at Bold that was non-family. She actually told me I was hiring her. So that's the kind of lady she is. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, again, welcome to all of you. And as I said earlier, we have a lot to talk about today. So, Allan, let's just begin with you. Now, I have read a lot about your company. I've researched a lot about your company. So tell our viewers, what and who is Bold Strategies?
Yep. So Bold Strategies has been around since 2016. I quit my last full-time job working for someone else in 2017 to start it. And historically, we've been an e-commerce department for hire for mid-sized CPG companies. So that's been the traditional business. Typically, they'll have a great sales department. They'll have a great marketing department. But if e-commerce is a gap, we come in and we fill that in with web development, marketplace support on Amazon, Walmart, Kroger, all the places. That's been the traditional part of our business. The newer part is what's called Bold Labs. And Bold Labs is a product testing facility. So we test new products online. And we'll talk more about this as we get deeper. But think about it as digital test markets. And that's really the growth engine for our company. It's relatively small today, but becoming a bigger part of what we do.
And so when you started the company, your background is in the CPG world,
yep.
Right? So that's where you really got your feet on the ground and got interested in this whole thing. And I will tell you, when I looked at, and I really suggest our viewers go check you out on your website, because when I looked at your website, there's so much information about your company, and I'm really interested in the lab piece. So I'm glad we're going to visit on that a bit later on. So when did you move to Northwest Arkansas? How long have you been here?
So as you said, I've been in CPG for a long time. I worked for Procter & Gamble for 14 years.
Okay.
And they moved me out here, I think it's way back in 2011.
Okay.
I spent a few years here working with Walmart on Gillette razors and Old Spice deodorant and other personal care products. And then I went back to Cincinnati, which is P&G headquarters. Right. Did a couple years on e-commerce in Cincinnati. And my wife and I decided that we wanted to move back here. So I quit that job, came here, worked for a local company, and did that for about 5 years, and then started this.
Great. Okay, Darcy, we got to know about you. Okay, so we already said you're from California, and we found out that we have a mutual friendship in San Antonio, Texas. What about that? It's a small world.
Small world, but a big
small world. It was great when I actually seen her name on your profile, communication. I went, oh my goodness, this cannot be really real. So. The individual's from a great company in Texas. It's a plumbing company, and I will tell you, your friend is one of the smartest people I met.
One of the strongest women in business I know.
I know.
Yes.
She is. And I tell her mom all the time, I said, it fell very close to the tree, because her mom is very similar, and so is her father. So, okay, so anyway, Darcy, Tell us some about where you've been and what you've done.
Absolutely. So I've been 18 years in the startup business. That has really been what my life has been about. My passion, as I say, is always growing teams, growing companies. A huge portion of that, I would say about 12 years, was in the apparel side of it. I've actually been coming to Northwest Arkansas for 18 years. So started off as a supplier for Walmart. So you can imagine how much Northwest Arkansas has changed in 18 years.
Right.
And it's been exciting to see, really the community, see what's been developed here. But spent 15 years apparel-wise going through everything. Started my last stint was with a company who was able to take it. We started from scratch and take it into the $300 million. For me personally, COVID hit. I am a mom of two. So I have a little boy, not so little anymore, 9, and a girl that is 12. And I just decided at that point, started to spend some more time at home. I was living bi-coastal in Los Angeles and part of the time in New York. And I decided I wanted to change. And, I always believe the world works in mysterious ways. And I had an old salesperson for me that knew Allan, and our worlds collided. And then, we started to talk, and an opportunity arose to come over here as his SVP, which then eventually led into the chief revenue role. And sky's been the limit since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit more about the introduction because that's always a fun story. So Michelle, I won't say her last name, but Michelle was the former employee of Darcy's. And Michelle was actually selling a service to me, and she was fabulous at her job, like one of the best salespeople I knew. And when we had to find our chief revenue officer, I went to Michelle and I said, "Who's the best salesperson you know?" She told me it was Darcy, and that's how the connection was made.
Oh, that's good. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you've been very successful since you've been here for how long now? Over 2 years?
Over 2 years,
Yeah,
going on
right.
almost 3 years here coming up this year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. We're gonna get much deeper into both strategies. Okay, but I will tell you, I can't hold back. We have to share the announcement, and then I would love to dig into with both of you a bit about the company and all that you do, and even more, even more some specificity around that. So, okay, Allan. Okay, why don't you make the big announcement for our all of our viewers and listeners, and then we'll get into it.
Well, I've got 2.
Okay.
So the first one is it's my birthday today. So
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yep. So that's a big, that's a really big deal.
It
Make
is.
sure everyone knows about that.
And he always does big things on his birthday.
I do. We made 2 big strategic hires last year on my birthday, and
Okay.
and this big announcement today is also in that vein. So, effective today, Darcy Ramler is the CEO of Bold Strategies, and I'm going to be the executive chair, working on a number of innovation projects. But we'll talk more about that soon. But congratulations to Darcy. She's earned it, and we'll talk more about that.
Well, Darcy, wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you and your family, and I'm excited that we're going to get to talk about where we're going to go. Where's this
Yes.
thing going to go with Both Strategies? And Both Strategies is already such a great company, and I can't wait to hear your vision and talk more about that. And then we definitely want to find out what Allan's going to be up to, with all that time he's going to have on his hand now. So we'll get into that. So,
Yep.
Darcy, let's just start with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as you now have recently been promoted as of today, but I know you've known about it a bit more. But what are you thinking about? What's it feel like as you spend time and about in your new role? What have you been thinking about? Tell us that.
Absolutely. So I think, one of the pieces of advice Allan gave even when I first came on was always think of it as putting different hats on in the way you do things in business. Sometimes I have a sales hat. Sometimes I have a marketing hat. I'm on the board. Sometimes you have to wear the board hat. Now I look at it as it's just another hat, but it's obviously a very, very important hat. And I think for us, it's really focused on making sure we truly are looking at what are our services that we're offering, what are we bringing to our clients, ensuring that our individuals, our people at Bold, are the ones that are feeling comfortable with what we're delivering on. I always feel like great people that are happy and love what they do provide the best results. So, culture is a high priority for us, and our clients are a high priority for us. So those two things, when you both are going well, you've got a very successful business.
You're so right. And And I know the company's got a great culture. You're stepping into that. So here's a conversation I think our viewers would love to know. And I know I would. Okay, as I've thought about this now, I have the opportunity to think about it for a bit, about you're stepping in and then the founder stepping to a new role. Okay, so as a founder, okay, Allan, how did you sort of work us through your thought process? Because as a founder, sometimes we don't want to quit. We don't want to step aside because there's a lot of things, right?
I'm not letting him go too far.
Okay. But how did you tell us how you got to this point?
Yeah.
If you'd walk through some of that.
Well, I'll tell you the real story since we're being real here. You remember the TV show Succession?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy that.
Don't ask him what character I am in the show.
She's not a character on the show, but my wife and I were watching it, and it was about the time that we were kind of starting to think about what was next in our lives and what do we want to do together as a couple. Mm-hmm. And, the idea hit me that maybe it's time to start thinking about a succession plan. And we had recently come off of a very hard 2022, and Darcy had really stood out in that period. Honestly, she kept me going during that period, which was very, very tough for us. And, it seemed like the business was ready, she was ready, and I was ready to start making this move. So did I text you or call
You text me. I remember specifically where I was at. He texted me. It was a Sunday. I was in the grocery store, and I get this text from him that says, "Hey, I've been thinking over the weekend."
Lisa and I have been thinking.
Yeah, no, it was you. Okay. And you're like, and I even talked to Lisa, and I thought, oh my goodness. Like when he's been thinking, I'm like, what is coming at me on Monday morning? He is a true visionary. So it's always something. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is this going to be? And he goes, can we talk first thing on Monday? And so
I think you said, let's just talk now, right?
Yeah.
I think you're in the grocery store.
I wouldn't have waited a Monday. I would have done something.
Yeah. So we had a long process. I've got a mentor who gave me this analogy of flying a plane, and he said, "Hey, you've got to go through 4 phases together. The first phase is you're the pilot and she's the co-pilot. The second phase, you move to co-pilot, she becomes the pilot. Then you're kind of in the back, and then you're not even part of that leadership structure anymore." And that's really what we've worked through. So we've been working on this for over a year now at this point.
Okay, wonderful. So when this phone call happened, or text happened, or you're in the grocery store shopping, how long ago was that?
Oh gosh, that was beginning of last year.
Okay, all right, good. So I think one of the things that as our viewers, I want to point out is that succession is not something that's done quickly. No. It's done. So you step back a year, let's call it almost a year, right? And then you really begin to give this a lot of thought, probably some thought previously, but you really began to get deep in your thoughts around that. Okay. So 1 year ago. So as this year progresses, the year, each of you talk about some of the conversations or topics that you just talked about. Because I think this whole thing around secession, what our viewers have to understand is that this can't be a black hole. It's got to be a well thought out strategy. Here's the runway. Here are things we have to work through together to really create this. You're playing a very soft landing, if you will, a great landing. We don't want to crash. We want to land this airplane. So. Can talk about that.
Yeah, in a way it was very liberating because as a CEO, you have the loneliest job in the world sometimes. You've got a lot of fears and a lot of concerns, but you can't articulate them to the team always in a really raw way because that can be frightening or demotivating or, raise a lot of questions that maybe you're not ready to answer yet. So really the first phase was just being very open with Darcy about, what was going on, what was the subtext of the conversations we were having, starting to share a lot of confidential information with her that I wouldn't really share with other employees, and just bringing her into the context, because the context I think is the most important thing. And then we would just talk about it. So
I would say he gave me visibility to what his role looked like, right? I sit on the outside, and even though I was one of the closest people to him, you don't always get to see everything that happens. Mm-hmm. So giving that visibility, understanding what the role is, I would say communication is the number one thing that has made this successful. every stage, and we'll kind of go through what the next stage was in the next stage, but every stage has its roadblocks. Every stage has its pain points. We're getting comfortable in new roles. We're getting comfortable in seeing we are very yin to yang in the way we approach things. So also giving the room the liberty to, I look at it at a different lens, he may look at it, and then being able to discuss like what are those differences? How, how do I learn from him, but then put my own spin onto certain things? And I think strategically there is a method to the madness, right? Of succession, and doing it well. You can do it a lot of ways, but also the timing was key because it allowed, as we moved into getting a little bit more comfortable and really that co-pilot, we had started planning for 2024, which then gave flexibility for me to really do my first year of planning, but with Allan's assistance and with him being along and co-piloting it. So it wasn't like, okay, here's next year's planning and you're the new CEO and you're just doing it by yourself, because there's a lot of history there, right? And that needs to be taken into account for.
Yeah,
Great.
There's another dimension too. So Darcy gave me too much credit by saying I'm a great idea person. Really, I talk to a lot of people with ideas, and I'm able to pick and choose from that. So I started deliberately introducing Darcy to a lot of the people who provide me advice, and those mentors, and in a lot of cases, have become hers as well. So.
Absolutely.
This is such great advice for our viewers and listeners as they think about transition in their organizations, and that's why I think this is so rich, is that you're sharing this real live experience. It's not a textbook. This is how it has worked for you. Now, some of the pain points you mentioned,
yes.
Okay? I was going to go there. I'm glad you mentioned that. So how did you navigate a pain point with each other? You whatever, you don't have, just you can be as specific as you wish, but how did you navigate those?
Honesty.
Oh, wow.
Like even brutal honesty at some points, but laying it on the table.
Yeah.
The foundation to all, to trust and to great results is honesty.
Yeah.
When you all were in this discussion, and that's so powerful, okay? When you were in this discussion, did Darcy bring you something, and laid it out honestly? How did you navigate that? What did you think about? Did you think, okay, I really made the right choice, or did you say, maybe I need to do this or anything? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is there's going to be things to learn. Darcy's an incredibly quick study, so she's learning those things faster than I ever expected.
Right.
I think, really, back to that honesty point, I just tell her what I'm concerned about, what I'm afraid of. I typically try not to direct. I am on the board, she's on the board, but really it's more about just saying, hey, Darcy, like the thing that concerns me about this as I think about it is X or Y or Z.
Sure.
And think about it and let me know what you think.
Great.
And I believe in, if I'm going to ask a question, don't ask a question because you just want a yes or a great job or I love it. If you're asking it, be open to feedback and advice. And I think my expectation, and we said this early, is I want you to poke holes in it.
Yeah.
I'm new to this. This is my first time. I said it even to the team when I'm stepping into this. This is my first time in a role. I'm going to make mistakes. Right. But we are there to pick each other up. And my promise is, if you give me your support, as I've proven over the last 2.5 years, I'm always the first hand to help you guys up when you stumble. Right. So there'll be stumbles. There'll be things that are going to happen. But if we're open and we collaborate together, it makes, those stumbles are a little bit less of a fall. It's more of a stumble.
Mm-hmm. Well, what it sounds like is that you are, back to your answer was honesty. When you're that honesty, that transparent, there's really not any issue you can't navigate if you are that honest about it. Absolutely. And it sounds like you all have built a great foundation there.
Yeah, the trick is being timely about it, right? Like if we're going to step on each other's toes, and there's going to be team meetings and who's supposed to say what and all this kind of stuff. But as long as we deal with it quickly, we're able to move.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely,
right. Wonderful.
And I think you step into new roles, there's insecurities and uncomfortableness that happens for both of us, and being sensitive to that. Understanding for Allan, he's establishing his new role, his new identity with that. I'm stepping into this, and there's going to be things that are worries of mine, and just being able to share those gives us sensitivities to each other and how we approach things as well.
Wonderful, wonderful.
A good example would be this week you had your leadership team meeting, right? So these are typically meetings that I would go to in the past. This one I did not. We met before, we strategized, we talked about the priorities, we met after. But she runs that show.
And he's giving me the space. And I will say, I don't think that's easy for someone to always do. And I give him a lot of credit in that. He is truly giving me the space to be able to put my own stamp on things.
That's good. That's awesome. Wow. This is so wonderful. It's now, Darcy, what are you thinking about the future? As you now sit in the present CEO seat, what do you think about? What do you make changes? Are you thinking about going and expanding? What are some thoughts around that?
Absolutely. So, it comes at a great time. As Allan said, we just spent 2 days planning our 2024 with the leadership team. Great work was done. And I always believe a strong vision will lead to strong results. Allan has laid such an amazing foundation here, and we have such a great team that it's not huge changes by any means. It's taking and expanding and growing upon the foundation that we already have. I think really our focus is, as we said, we're really trying to help brands, people, reach their full potential. And for us, it's being intentional on what clients we take on to make sure that we're able, they're a right match for us and we're a right match for them. So we can continue to explore and expand those brands to grow them in the digital space for them. But then also, bringing in, we've just started with the Bold Lab side of the business, and every great brand, innovation is a part of that brand. So to me, even though it is a little bit of a separate service offerings, all brands that come to us should have an innovation pipeline. So it actually naturally feeds into it. So to me, those are our two primary focuses in 2024, and excited about them.
Good. Well, I want to talk about the lab.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Then I have several more questions, but the lab is new. So share with us the lab, and both of you just take it and where you're going to go with that. And you mentioned briefly what the lab is.
Yeah, Darcy, want to say more about it?
Yeah, let's do that.
So for us, as Allan kind of was explaining earlier, and in the innovation cycle, there's many different stages within it, but we are here to kind of really help from the start, from conception, how a product innovation comes about. We offer services that can do a screener, so we can help and really look into it and say, hey, is this even a viable idea before you're putting money behind packaging, putting money behind developing out the product. So we can help from a screener phase of an idea. We can go in before you've even made the product and take real live people and be able to get real shopper feedback on that idea, on that concept. And how we go about that is we make it come to life in the digital space. That is the beauty of the digital space. It's ever changing, but it also, we don't have to have the actual product. So we offer a service where we can go in and really truly look at it, have shoppers give us their feedback on that, and then really based off of what they get there, they can either choose to optimize that idea and then really develop out the product, or they can choose at this point, no time, it's not a great idea. We don't need to invest any more money. But if they do decide to move on to really the product development and have a product come out of it, then we can take it on to Amazon. We also build websites, microsites that we're able to test it on. We usually run those. That's the digital test market that Allan was speaking about. We run those in a 6-month increment, and then we're able to give them, a forecast coming out of that. We're able to give them their optimizations coming out of that, and then they're able to go ahead and take it fully into market. But they've assessed their risk at that point, and they've made sure it's optimized before going on a full-fledged market.
So who would be your customers for this product? Your clients?
Any CPG brands that are out there. I mean, everybody has an innovation pipeline.
Okay. Yeah, and you're probably aware from your background that 2 out of 3 new products in CPG fail.
Right.
So this is really that buffer to prevent that from happening. To brands who might be spending $50, $100 million a year on marketing, we basically are an insurance policy to make sure that money's well spent.
Wonderful. I know when I was looking at your website and I seen that, and I went, watched the video and all that, I thought, this is so awesome. I mean, and what you're saying is that our viewership and people listening today, they need to reach out to you with these ideas and let you run this through your pipeline and do your whole process and save them millions.
And it makes sense. So our core business, our base business of really, affecting digitally influenced commerce for us is, we understand 80% of all consumers engage with a brand the first time in the digital space.
Right.
So we're taking that, that opportunity and then basically utilizing it. And how do you test a product? Right. No better platform than the digital space to be able to learn before you roll it out. Right. And, traditionally speaking, there was always in-store tests. There were certain things that you could do, but there's always bias. You don't know where you're going to be on the shelf. There's a lot of things that come into really getting a true read on that project or that product and what that viability is.
Okay, it's awesome. We live in such a wonderful time called omnichannel, retail. And, I've been in retail my whole life, basically adult life. And I think the thing that's so amazing is the current change. But I think I'm more excited today about retail, omnichannel, where it's going. I love shopping today, and I'm doing it on my app. I love it. The phone is my store, and I love the store. I grew up, Walmart and ran stores and all that stuff and brick and mortar and all that, But then we got to be there during this transition, and now this transition, it's just phenomenal what's taking place, as we all know. So, Allan, as we think about the future of retail, and we call it omnichannel, as you know, we push everything around that. You may have a little time on your hands. So what are you going to think about with the future? Are you going to spend time there? Sort of talk about, because I think another thing our viewers would love to know, if through this transition, what's your role going to be, and how are you going to look at that and think about it?
I'll start with the second question first. So my role is going to really be innovation. So we've got a couple of big software projects going. One is an AI enablement project for our team to basically help people do things more efficiently with the help of artificial intelligence. The second one is a software product to help with the volume forecasting that we do on Bold Labs. So I'm going to focus a lot more on those. I'm going to focus on some big relationships we have externally that we're looking to develop, and really supporting Darcy in her role.
Are you excited about it?
I am very excited about it. And to your question about shopping and how's it changing, to me, I'd go back to AI and say that more and more decisions are going to be made by your assistant than you, right? So as we look to the future, how do you influence the AI that's going to decide for people what to get at Instacart or what to get at Walmart, and really become a part of that decision process, which today seems very opaque, but I think it'll become more clear over time.
Right. It is. I think that what retail is today and where it's going to go, it's just amazing to me. And you all, I'm sure, read the article. I read it this morning about how much business was done online. It blew my mind. The billions online business for holiday. And we're talking about holiday, and I don't want to quote the number. I think it was like 200 billion or something, if I'm correct, if close on that. But what do you see that in the future? Again, online, where do you see that going versus the brick and mortar? Do you see any changes in? Is that going to continue to grow? Where's brick and mortar going to play in some of this futuristic?
Well, I think the first question is, how do you define the lanes, right? And we've always said e-commerce is a transaction that happens on your own device. So that could be in the store while you're walking around a Walmart and looking at things and trying to figure out what to buy. It could be on your home computer, it can be on your phone, it could be on your iPad, it can be a lot of different things. What we think is more and more technology is going to become part of the decision process, no matter where you are. And as you know, Walmart's investing a lot in bringing technology into the stores. So really, we're trying to figure out how to be in all those places for our customers and clients.
Wonderful.
And I think the consumer journey has changed so much. When you even just look over the last 10 years, what it used to look like and how much was put into the shopper side of things. And then now we have all these digital touch points, as you're saying. We know where people are engaging with brands for the first time and all the different places that we can touch them through that journey. For us, it really is helping bring that all together for our brands, helping them really look at the ecosystem that exists out there. And like Allan said, is we're taking another, turn with AI and personalization and how we're going to be training people how to shop and what that looks like is going to be, over the next 2 years is going to change immensely. And I think even push it more into the digital side.
Right.
What I think is important and what we help a lot of our brands with is connecting the dots, though, of if you're running these retail media campaigns and you're running certain social campaigns or certain things, how your brand shows up in that digital space, ensuring that even when that consumer is in store, they're making, that is all tying together. So if Walmart's having a rollback, we're also pushing on search on Walmart.com. So you got to make sure to make your dollars work best for you. Everything kind of those dominoes have to fall in line, and you have to have a bigger strategy that overlays with it.
Yes.
Yep.
You want to add anything you want to add?
No, it just it's fascinating to me because people are going to make less and less decisions over time.
Yes.
And machines are going to make more decisions for us.
Yeah.
So as a classically trained CPG marketer, the question in my mind is how are we going to influence those machines that are deciding things for people, and that's a really fascinating question.
Wow. Okay, Darcy.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I just meeting you and listening to you, I know you're going to do well. You got a great support.
Too.
Congratulations to you, Allan, on how I believe how well you have navigated this and done, and the thought that you've put into this. I think that if our viewers, if we were to just underline a few very important things, I think that what you heard here was about they started this over a year ago. Mentally, you probably may have started it before then, but physically, you started a year ago. You took a lot of time, a lot of thought. It sounds like too you didn't rush this. Is that correct?
Correct.
It doesn't feel rushed here with you two.
No.
And then I think, Darcy, the thing that you said that I think it was honesty. Wow. That's the key. And both of you were able to be so honest and transparent, it sounds like, with each other. And it sounds like you navigated and solved those issues.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I want to tell you, it's been an honor to spend time with both of you today. And Allan, thank you again for saying, let's stop and let's wait, because this, I think you and I would have had a great conversation, but I think this is such a wonderful conversation.
Wonderful.
And I really encourage all of our viewers to really reach out to this company and go online. It's boldstrategies.com. Is that correct? And let's reach out to this company, see their products, see their services, get to know Darcy and the team, and then Allan, I'm looking forward to what you're going to bring and how I'm going to shop next year, right?
Exactly.
Especially with the AI component and all that. It's been so wonderful to have both of you. Any closing comments?
No, I told you what I'm going to be working on. I'll tell you from a personal standpoint. I'm going to be working from the road. So my wife and I are moving full-time into an RV next year.
Oh,
and Darcy and I will be Zooming it up over chat. So
that's wonderful, because that's going to give you so much creativity, I think, in the open space, and really open your mind up and really get. So I think that's smart, and you don't have to think about that day to day. You can spend time with that futuristic that you talked about.
Exactly.
And Darcy, I hope we can have you back. We may not can get this guy. He's going to be on the road. But I would love to have you and some of your team back and talk about some of the things that you're working on and you're doing to share with our viewers and listeners. You're always welcome to come back. And Amanda, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
You've been great. We really appreciate all your work to get us here, Amanda. To all of our viewers, thank you so much for joining us today. You can always find us on your favorite streaming platform, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. We're there. And you can check us out on our website, too. It's dbbnwa.com. Check us out there. And you'll not only find our podcast there, but lots of articles about retail and omnichannel. Again, to both of you, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Best
so much.
of both of you and all in your wonderful company. Thank you again for joining us, everyone. Goodbye.